I suppose what I would say to the senators is this. You may want to vote to acquit Donald Trump, either because you really believe he's innocent or because you are, frankly, scared of what a vindictive Donald Trump will do to you if you don't vote that way. But I would implore you, not only because America deserves a fair trial and is worth it, but because you're going to have to explain to your constituents as well as yourself and your kids and your grandkids why you voted the way you did if you end up voting to acquit. And the only way you can do that fairly, the only way you can do that is to vote to hear Bolton and other witnesses and the evidence. And I say that because otherwise you'll never be able to explain the way you voted without adopting this remarkably absurd and extreme and dangerous theory that my former colleague Alan Dershowitz is peddling. Namely, it doesn't matter if a president uses the vast powers of his office to shake down and ally and help an adversary in order to get dirt on an enemy and corrupt an election. That doesn't matter. And therefore, you didn't need to hear any witnesses. But nobody will really accept that as a plausible theory. In fact, there is no legal scholar in the country other than Alan Dershowitz who believes it. One of my colleagues, Nico Bowie, used to say that he might agree with Alan, but now that he's explained he doesn't, Alan says, now Professor Bowie is wrong. Not only is he out on a limb from every other scholar, he's out on a limb from the framers of the Constitution. And what would happen if you use that fig leaf to justify your vote? What would happen is you might save your skin, but not your soul, because you would be leaving a message to future generations, to future presidents, that any way they want to abuse the power of their office, any way they want to take appropriated money and turn it to their own benefit, any way they want to shake down an ally at war with an adversary for their own corrupt benefit is just fine, because Trump got away with it since the ultimate ruling was, so what? It doesn't matter. If you leave that message, and if that's the explanation you end up having to give to people, you will harm not only the country today, but you will leave a lesson for future presidents that will be terrible to the republic. It will not be a constitutional democracy, but it will be a dictatorship. So I implore you, if you're inclined to vote to acquit this president, don't do it on the ridiculous basis that abuse of power, because it's not a statutory crime and is rather open-ended, is not a basis to remove. Don't do it on that basis. Do it perhaps on the basis that after you've heard John Bolton and looked at the evidence, you're just not convinced.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.